been a while. I live in Arizona. Wintertime is our time of the year to be outside and get things done, and I allowed myself to just get distracted with all of that. But it's summertime now, and it's hot. It was 113 degrees today, which is about 44 or 45 Celsius. It's still almost 100 right now at 9:30 at night. Way too hot to sleep. I was trying. Excuse the disheveled appearance, but when it's this hot and you live off grid and run on batteries, your electricity is on batteries, air conditioning, it's not really a thing. So I didn't come here to whine, and you didn't come here to listen to me whine, but just try to bear with me. I'm, not really here for a fashion show, but I found this great article, and I wanted to share it. And it has to do with what we all consider and see as this polarization and this division that we have right now. And I imagine it's happening in other countries, but most specifically in American politics. And this whole thing is all about not picking sides, being a centrist, being in the middle, not having a political party. This article is entitled 11 Signs That Your Political Party is Your Cult. And, a lot of us have called the maggots cult members, and I seem to remember when Bernie Sanders was running for president, the Bernie Bros were cult members, and, excuse me, my dog wants to come up. And, so I just found this kind of an interesting article, and I thought maybe we'd read through it. Bear with me again. I haven't really read aloud in a very long time, so I might trip over my tongue a little bit. I found it on a website called organize31.com. It's titled 11 Signs That Your Political Party is Your Cult. And it's written by a woman that just simply says, Susan, on August 15th, 2016. So it's a little bit of an older article, but I think it probably applies every bit as much now as it did then. So it starts out, this election cycle, more than any other I remember, has been divisive. I watch intelligent, kind friends of mine behave like fanatics over a clearly imperfect presidential candidate. It's nearly impossible to find a media figure that is objective in reporting on these two candidates, and they rarely mention third-party candidates. Well, isn't that why we're all here? Give the third parties, the no parties, some kind of a voice? Kind of nice to see other people noticing that, even though we make up centrist independents, people who identify as other than Republican or Democrat, we do make up a third of the United States voting electorate. So, we do matter a little bit. Let's get back at it. I have had my patriotism questioned recently because I don't think someone's candidate of choice is the only answer. That's ironic since I'm a veteran. My husband, father, brother, both uncles, and 4 to 5 cousins are veterans. During this election, I watch as hundreds of thousands of people behave as though they are members of a political cult rather than a political party. It's time for everyone to step back, take a deep breath, and ask if any of these 11 signs that your political party is your cult apply to you. And before you say that this is a very poorly written sentence, I think. And before you say that they all, as they apply to the other side, okay, I think it's trying to say before you say they apply to the other side, these characteristics are equally and frighteningly evident on both sides. And the example I just used would be the maggots and the Bernie Bros. I am not a member of either of the two political parties. Yay, Susan's another centrist just like us. I am an independent thinker and voter, and I'm fed up with the cult-like thought and behavior on both sides. So am I, Susan. I'm with you there, sister. So, she goes on to say, I know all the arguments invoking extreme and evil leaders from history used to justify positions. I don't want to hear them. That's a cult technique. Ooh, very, very, very good point. Intellectual arguments are not dismissive or derisive. Thinking people, free of cult control, are not intimidated by rational discussions with other viewpoints. You see, so, number one, you see the world as us and them. You forget that we are all Americans first. You would never discriminate or belittle any other group of people. You know that prejudice is simply wrong, except when it comes to the other side. As soon as you hear or see any indication that someone is a member of the other side, you dismiss them. You call them stupid, unpatriotic, crooked, or worse. You refuse to listen to them or even consider their views as legitimate. Next, you think that your candidate is the only answer. You say the words, blank is the only one that can lead our country, or you say blank can never lead our country. You see your leader as a messiah and the other leader as evil, rather than your leader as more qualified and the other as less qualified. You cry or scream with overly zealous passion when you see your leader. You've forgotten that your leader is a political person, an imperfect political person. You see him or her as a messiah. Yeah, I've seen quite a few Trump is God. I don't ever remember Bernie is God, but I definitely remember a lot of Bernie worship. Bernie's the only one who can save us. Trump's the only one who can save us. And, I mean, I could go on and on. You refuse to listen to the other side. You don't want to hear the other side's views or opinions. Fingers in ears, eyes shut. La, 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 I can't hear you. Cults keep members' loyalty by only allowing members to hear their own propaganda, not any other views or ideas. Cults see their views as the only ones valid, true, and worth hearing. There's no reason to even listen to other ideas. You only listen to news, friends, and other candidates that support your side. This is how cults isolate their members, by not allowing members to be exposed to and challenged by other ideas. Next one. You listen to your side's commentary on the other side's leader, rather than listening directly to the other side's leader. So I guess the point Susan's trying to make is that you will say, for example, watch Fox News, and you will listen to, or go watch Trump talk about what Biden said, but you won't listen to Biden yourself and see if that's really what Biden said or in what context it was said. And or vice versa, you'll listen to Biden about Trump. I mean, it goes both ways. I'm not picking on either side because both sides are really bad about this. So Susan says that you choose, whether purposefully or unthinkingly, to only read or listen to commentary that agrees with your side. Cults maintain loyalty by surrounding members with views that agree with their propaganda and prevent opposing viewpoints. And prevent opposing viewpoints that might challenge that propaganda. You have abdicated your intellectual responsibility to analyze the other side's views and rely on leaders on your sides to evaluate it for you. That's irresponsible and lazy at best, and cult behavior at worst. Hey, those are Susan's words, not mine. I'm not accusing her. I'm just reading here. Okay. You call the other side's followers derisive names. You mean like maggot and Bernie bro? Oops. Guilty. Rather than explaining why you disagree with the other side, you resort to name-calling, gossip, and intimating scandal or undesirable traits. This is juvenile and unthinking behavior that results from cult-like adherence to your side's propaganda. Well, I guess I am, I don't know, I'm not on the side. I'm in the middle, which is the centrist side, I guess. But yeah, I guess I'm guilty. Maybe I should work on that. Maybe it's okay to be a teeny bit childish once in a while. I don't know. I guess I'll have to think about that further. You don't have a problem with your leader and leaders of your side calling the other side names or intimating undesirable traits. If leaders from the other side say the exact same thing about your side, you'd be up in arms. But because it's from your side, it's true and justified. Oh my, I'm sure we could see so many examples about that. For example, I can think of a great one. Now, I personally agree that Joe Biden, toward the end of his last term, was showing some signs of some mental diminishment. I don't know if it was just exhaustion, if he was ill, if something else was going on, but he definitely was showing some signs. Everybody got very upset when Trump would start picking on him about it. Now, yes, it was rude to pick on him about it, but Trump shows some pretty signs of derangement himself. Dementia, just absolutely irrational thinking. I mean, those rants on Truth Social, my goodness. Have you ever seen some of his interviews where he's asked, what color's the sky? And the next thing you know, you're hearing about how the ocean is blue, except when the sun's setting, because then it looks kind of green and then maybe even pink. And at the same time, someone on Wall Street, I mean, he's just all over the place. I'm making it up as I go, but point that I've rambled on and I should really get back to here is that the Democrats get really upset when Trump picks on Biden, and the Republicans get really upset when people say that Trump's insane, and that's a really bad, very long drawn out way of explaining what Susan here is trying to say. I think I should move on, huh? Did I mention it's late and hot? And maybe my brain's not quite right today. Okay, you feel an emotional high from being associated with your side. Being with a group of your side or watching your side's leaders speak gives you an emotional high and almost religious experience. You cry or scream when you see your leader. Well, watch any MAGA rally, watch any Bernie rally, and I think there would be more than enough examples to see what that point is, and it's a very good point. You gleefully celebrate the downfall of the other side. You feel that the other side deserves to lose and deserves any misfortune or scandal, whether true or manufactured by your side, that occurs. Rather than being satisfied that your side is doing well, you are joyous that the other side is losing. This is something that I've asked some Trump supporters recently. They all seem so angry. I mean, so very, very angry. And, I mean, not only me, I've seen other people ask as well, why are y'all still so angry? You've gotten everything you wanted. Your man, your idol, your messiah is president. Your side holds the House, holds the Senate, and the Supreme Court. You have everything you wanted. Why are you still so angry? If there are any Republicans here, can you please answer that in the comments, please? Because I don't understand. I mean, you should be jumping up for down and partying for the next 4 years. You got everything you wanted. I don't know. Anyway. You support your leader. Excuse me. I read that wrong. Your support of your leader is emotional rather than intellectual. You feel your leader is the best. Your leader knows you and what's best. Your leader cares for you and the country. Your leader understands you and what's needed. Your leader says he or she will do what's best. These are all emotional and cult-like reasons to follow your leader, not factual or rational reasons. And that's true, because there's no evidence to back that up. I mean, you feel it. You don't have any evidence. It's like, I'm going to touch on a bad one. It's like religion. You believe it because you choose to believe it. There's no actual evidence any of it is true. There's no actual evidence that Trump is the only man who can save America. In fact, there's quite a bit of evidence to the opposite. But yeah, trying to think intellectually and emotionally, trying to separate the two can be very, very difficult. Because our emotions are strong, and emotions will often outweigh reason. But when it comes to things like politics, which is so very important to our lives, whether we realize how important or not, you have to try to separate the fact from the feeling. When someone tells you that, ask, what's the source? Check the source. Is it Joe Blow like on YouTube? Someone like me just sitting here spouting off on YouTube? Or is it researched? Is there data to back it up? Who paid for the data? Who paid for the study? All of these things matter. And if you really, really want to find out what's going on, I mean, it's always a chance that you're not going to find the truth. But the sources are important. And if you really want to make an informed decision, then you have to know, what is this study? Who paid for the study? Because studies can be skewed, all that stuff. But I'm sure that'll come up at another time, and I'll just continue with the article. This is one of my favorite ones. Your leader and your side is not accountable to authority because your side has an exalted status, knows better, is more caring, is more fiscally responsible, etc. The rules and laws don't apply to your side or your leader. The ends justify the means when it comes to your side and your leader. Oh boy, is this a loaded one. I am going to use what happened in LA last week as an example. Alright. Now, I don't want to get into the immigration debate right now. I definitely have strong opinions about it. I'm sure that'll come up again at some future point. Probably when we get to the DHS section of Project 2025. That's probably when I'll save that little rant for. But anyway, it's not what you think. I am not anti-immigration, so don't anybody think that's what my little rant will be about. But no, there was protesting. ICE went in. ICE started raiding. People came to the streets and started protesting. I personally agree that that type of behavior, those kinds of raids, are un-American. I don't care why. That's just not the way we should behave in America. Protesters, yes, some of them got out of control. I don't know if they were agitators or if they were just allowing their anger to get the best of them. I do not condone that. I myself have walked several protests. I protested George Bush Jr. in front of the NATO building in Brussels back in 2001. I did Occupy Wall Street. I've done a whole bunch of small local ones. I never, ever agree with any kind of violence because you lose the message. All anybody talks about is the violence. And what's the point? You have to stay peaceful. You have to try to get your message out there. You start getting stupid and violent, that's it. Your message is gone. You may as well not have bothered. So I do not condone that. But there are laws. This is a nation of laws. And the Republicans claim to be the law and order party. So based on that, the law says that when it comes to the National Guard, it is the state governor who has the authority to call the National Guard into service. Donald Trump did not have the authority, the legal authority, to call the National Guard up into there against. Now, he can do it with the permission of the governor, but the governor objected. And Trump way overstepped states' rights. He way overstepped his authority. He acted like an authoritarian dictator, and he set in the National Guard. Now, that absolutely did escalate it. Now, like I said, some people were getting violent, and I don't condone that, but that's for local law enforcement. I mean, they said this was only like a 1 square mile area. I lived in LA during the King riots. All right, LAPD is more than equipped to handle rioting in a 1 square mile area. The King riots were, I don't know, 30 miles. I mean, it was everywhere. This was 1 square mile. We did not need the National Guard. Yes, they needed the National Guard for the King riots. They did. It was out of control. There was not enough police. There was thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people rioting and looting and everything else. For a 1 square mile area, you did not need that. But okay, I'll quit repeating that. Great. I kind of lost my spot on my computer here because I'm ranting. Anyway, if the National Guard wasn't bad enough, then he put in the Marines. Now, it is absolutely illegal to use the United States military as law enforcement against United States citizens on United States soil. And if there's any questions, I'll try to remember to look up the law and post it in the comments. If there's any questions, just ask me and remind me. Again, I repeat, it's late, it's hot. My brain isn't quite functioning as well as it should. But that thing in LA, that's actually what motivated me. I had sort of taken a hiatus from politics. I found I just can't do the day-to-day with it. It's too much. I get too angry, and I don't want to live angry. I don't have a great life, but for me, it's a great life. It's very quiet, it's very peaceful, very serene. I like to keep it that way. Boring for most people's standards, but it's good for me. But the law and order, you have all these Republicans, and they're cheering this. They're supporting this. These MAGA supporters, they're like, oh, yeah, you go Trump. Yeah, he's a badass. He doesn't take any shit. Oops, sorry. YouTube, I probably shouldn't have cussed. I'm still learning the rules, but you know what I'm getting at. It's not tough to set the military against people who are protesting just because you're mad that they're protesting what you're doing. That is authoritarianism. I'm getting ready to do, I've been doing a couple little, they're kind of boring, but they're just really quick, basic slideshow presentations of just your basic fundamentals of government. I think I've put up the powers of the Supreme Court and the powers of the executive branch, or the powers of the president, and I have one in the can that's Congress, and I'm going to do political isms, and a few others just for basic fundamentals, real simple, no detail whatsoever. But if it was Biden who had sent the Marines into, say, Texas, oh my, can you imagine how the Republicans would be acting right now? We probably would be in a civil war right now because everybody's just so high-strung. This country's a powder keg. It won't take much to make it blow. But that gets back. They're not accountable to authority. It's okay when it's your side doing it. It's okay when it's your Messiah, Trump, sending military in to go against citizens of this country. The military. Anyway, I'm angry. My son is active duty military. He's been in for 13 years, and it just infuriates me that Trump is using the military in this way against American citizens. It just makes me sick. All right, I'll stop. I'll move on. We have a few more here. This video's getting a little long. Okay, so it says you punch the blank party box on the ballot without thinking. So, in other words, you go in and you just automatically hit Republican or automatically hit Democrat. You don't even think about it. It says that as a member of your side, you're unquestioningly You unquestioningly support every candidate and every position on your side. You would never vote for a member of the other side. There's nothing wrong with voting for all the candidates of one party or the other if you do it purposefully and individually rather than with one unthinking rubber stamp. And that's a really good point. This past election, I'm not going to say how I voted. Yeah, I will. I actually wrote in none of the above for president. I couldn't bring myself to vote for either one. And save it if you're going to tell me that, oh, I'm the reason Trump's in office. No, I'm not. It's the DNC. It's their fault. They did not put forward a candidate worth voting for. And quite honestly, I am done with voting for, well, it's better than the other guy. Because better than doesn't mean good. And from now on, if you don't put forward a good candidate, I'm going to write in none of the above. And that's what I did. However, for the other elections, there was a Republican that I voted for in a local election. I voted for some Democrats, and quite honestly, I left a couple blank because I didn't know the candidates, and I decided it was better not to vote at all. So that's what I did. Not like any of you care. But it's just, I'm using myself just as an example. I'm not trying to make it about me, but I'm using myself as an example that I actually did consider the candidates and I considered the proposals and the propositions and such like that. And if I was unsure, I just didn't vote rather than voting for the wrong one. I'm not saying that's what anyone else should do. It's just saying that that's what my choice was. And then it says here, bonus. If you think these 11 characteristics only apply to the other side, that means that your political party is your cult. And then, what else does she have to say? I'm not going to ask if any of these 11 signs that your political party is your cult apply to you. I just ask you to take a long, hard look at your behavior this political season and ask yourself if they apply to you, and vote. Now, obviously, the 2016 political season's long over, but we do have a midterms coming up in, let's see, what is it, June? 17 months sounds like a long time, but it's not. So, if we're going to pay attention, we should probably start doing it now. And anyway, that's it. I hope I didn't butcher it too badly or babble on too much. I'm just trying to kill time. It's so hot I can't sleep. I know. I've said it's hot too many times. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a whiner. Anyway, we're about hitting the 30-minute mark, and you're probably bored to tears with me by now. Wouldn't blame me. I'm not sure I'd watch myself this long, but hey, if you stuck it out, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And I hope to see you soon, and maybe I'll do something with the mop, Maybe not. Like I said, I'm not here for a fashion show. Anyway, you all have a great night, afternoon, morning, whatever time of day it is where you live. And thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.